Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today's video we're going to be looking at the minions in DEVOUR for every map. You know, Azazel's on every map, just a different demonic form, but when every demonic form comes a different type of minion. And today we're going to be ranking these minions from most deadly to least deadly. So, we know that, you know, game developers can go in and probably look at statistics and stuff like that and find that, you know, the minions... The crawler minions from Farmhouse are probably the most deadly because, you know, they see the most amount of people dying in them, but that is technically, you know, that's new people doing the very first map all together and just failing. So, statistically, you know, sure, these guys might, rack up more kills, but I think in the end we all know that, you know, there are more deadly minions out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the crawler from the farmhouse. I'm going to go to the wheelchair demons from the asylum, to spiders in the inn, and the spirits in the town. We're going to be ranking them, you know, S to D. And after that, you know, get my final thoughts, and then we'll head out. So starting with the crawler demon in from the farmhouse, these guys, very first demons ever, or I'm sorry, very first minions ever. They crawled around, you know, really super slow at first, and then as the, you know, as the match progresses on and more goats are sacrificed, they get progressively and progressively faster. Sometimes they'll show up in 2s or 3s, usually around a corner, but not always, you know, they're not going to be too in your way. Occasionally, even on like high level play, one will be like kind of like stuck in a rock or something like that, and will come out and grab you. The one thing about these minions, the most dangerous thing about these minions, is that once they grab you, you are stuck in place. It's not, they don't slow you like the spiders or the spirits, they just grab you and you're there. You can't break out, there's nothing you can do. However, because this is on the most basic map in DEVOUR, these are the most basic of minions. These guys really don't have, they're not all that threatening. There's lots of open space in the farmhouse. Even in the house itself, you have, you know, wiggle room and areas that you can just go around them. They're not typically in your way, and if they are in your way on one side, you can always go back around to a different stairwell. There's 3 different stairwells in the farmhouse. You can always find a stairwell where there aren't crawlers. So these guys are going to be placed here in C tier. Are they dangerous? Sure. Are they super dangerous? Not really. You know, sometimes they're an inconvenience, and that inconvenience can end a game. But for the most part, these are the least dangerous minions in the game. Following up with these guys is another set of grab you and hold you minions, the wheelchair demons from the asylum. These demons right here, what they really like to do is they have a wider profile than the crawler minions, which makes them a little bit more dangerous because it's harder to actually, you know, work your way around them. And the map they're on, the asylum, is a lot tighter than the farmhouse. When I say tighter, I mean the stairwells, they take up basically 2/3 of the stairwell. You're not going to, you know, wiggle around them or anything like that. The hallways aren't that much wider than the stairwells. You can kind of, like, if you push yourself over to the edge of one of the hallways, you can slightly get around a wheelchair demon. But after that, especially later on in the game, later on in the match, as the match progresses, these guys swarm together. They will clog up a hallway, and there's really almost nothing you can do once you're in a hall and they're like coming in from behind you and coming in from ahead of you. You basically just have to accept the fact that you're going down. The best you can do is like try and make it take longer than normal. So these guys are going to go up right over here into A tier. The reason I put them in A tier is because they have the wider profile on a more narrow map. There is one large area in the map where, you know, 1 or 2 might be, but normally they spawn in the stairwells and, you know, in these long, narrow hallways, making them much more dangerous than their farmhouse counterparts. After the wheelchair minions, we have the spiders from the inn. Now, the spiders from the inn were the first minions that would slow you instead of grab and stop you. One of the things that the spiders do is that they poison you. They give you a little bit of very, very, very minor damage over time, which usually it's not going to be that enough to ever do anything, but it is kind of there. The spiders slow you, but they swarm. They swarm the back stairwell a lot and the front stairwell a lot. And these are the two main traffic areas for the inn. Because they swarm these areas, you're not just encountering 1 or 2 or 3, you're usually encountering 5 or 6 spiders at any given time later on in the match. And the fact that they get really, really fast, and they have a bunch of different spawn points all over this tight little map, means that you are in for a very, very, very dangerous slog sometimes, even if you have full UV. On normal mode, it's even on normal mode, you really have to conserve your battery life, because these things, they will just be all over the place. Sometimes they'll just pop up when you're trying to burn an egg. Very dangerous in large numbers, but actually contendable with, because you can actually just kind of step back from the stairwells or lure them to the stairs. They'll all like group up, and you can burn them really, really easy. They're easy to burn down. They just can swarm. They're gonna go into probably B tier for me, just because they're not gonna hold you in place. If they could hold you in place, they'd be way more dangerous than just about anything on this list. But because they only slow you a little bit, and the fact that you can kind of like train them and kite them to where you need them to be so you can burn a bunch of them at once, they're not as dangerous as, say, the wheelchairs, because the wheelchair minions will literally swarm you on their much tighter spaces with their broader profiles. And finally, the final minion we have are the spirits from the town. These guys are by far the most difficult enemies to deal with in the game. Mostly because they can fly, and they can go through walls, floors, and ceilings. They will track you from almost anywhere. So long as your flashlight is on, they can kind of find you. There have been instances when I've been doing solo Nightmare Town runs where I had my flashlight on halfway across the map, and one of the ghosts would turn, see me, and start making its way over to me. These guys have a huge aggro radius when that flashlight is on, but when the flashlight is off, their aggro radius is kind of indeterminate. I've had one like literally float right by my face and not notice me, and I've had one a couple yards away turn and notice me while I still had my flashlight off. But because they can actually go through walls, floors, ceilings, and everything else, it means you can't kite them as easily as all the other minions. In fact, losing line of sight of you doesn't always, break the chase. Sometimes they kind of know exactly where you were, and they'll go to that point, and if they can still see you, they'll keep chasing. These guys are the most dangerous thing on the town. They're more dangerous than Sam on the town. And because they will swarm you from all different directions, above, below, left, right, center, everything. They'll come from under the floor, over the, through the ceiling, through the walls. You'll never know when they're going to be there until you hear them like right up on you. And sometimes it's way, way too late to really do anything, because once you get rid of one, there's usually 2 or 3 more to go. These things are so dangerous that they make their demon look like the easy thing. So these guys are going straight into S tier. These are the most dangerous minions in Devour to date. Now, we do have Slaughterhouse coming out in, March? So in about a month and a half, something like that. And once that comes out, hopefully we're going to find out what the new minions are there, and we'll do another tier list. See if like maybe we get anything better, or maybe something a little worse. Hopefully it's not as god tier as the spirits, because the spirits, to this day, I still think the spirits need a little bit of tweaking with their aggro range and everything else. But that's going to be it for today's tier list. Hope you guys found it informative. If you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments. Hope you all have a great day, and as always, stay positive.